grants, and I thought, oh, that's really cool.
Well, no. Once I asked him, he says, I was going on the grants, you give me thing, and he said, well, I'm all set. I'm all set. So I went over there last night to ask him.
That's what you said.
And I was like,
Okay, Hank, are you recording and streaming? All
We're
set?
starting right now.
Okay. Well, since it's 7 o'clock, I'll call the meeting to order. My name is Frank Benish. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Board of Adjustment. This is a public hearing into Robert Valencourt's application for a variance. Robert, normally because we don't have all 5 people here, normally I would mention this and say you have, if you want, you can postpone until the 5th person shows up. Normally we do that if somebody's sick or not present, but unfortunately the 5th person resigned, so there isn't another person that might show up. I offer that because for it to be successful, you need 3 votes. Positive votes on the variance. I assume you want to go ahead.
yes.
Okay. So this, Mr. Valencourt on at 10 Tyrolean Drive, that's map V10 lot 302, wishes to build a 41-foot by 28-foot garage, an 8 by 22-foot mudroom. The building permit was denied in September 13th by the building inspector, and application for variance from the prescribed setback is the purpose of this variance. The garage would be on the east side of the house, with a small mudroom between the existing house and the garage. And the northeast corner of the garage would be 19 feet from the property boundary, which is 6 feet within the prescribed setback. And then as the property boundary angles away from the garage, it goes all the way out to, I think 35 feet, something like that. But it's, let me check. Yeah, 35 feet. And the garage, or the front of the garage is 58 feet from the center line of the right-of-way of Tyrolean Drive. So it's not an issue. And I believe the reason the building inspector declined the building permit was that the proposed garage is within the prescribed setback. So that's my summary. What normally happens is, Robert, is that you have a chance to, kind of discuss what you're trying to do and why you should receive the variance, and we'll ask questions. And then once that's done, anybody else in the audience, of which there's one, who's in a butter, may speak if she wishes. And then we'll close the hearing and deliberate and either make a decision tonight or decide we can't and postpone for another meeting. So with that, unless anybody else has anything they want to say, I'd ask Bob to discuss what he wants to do and why a variance would be appropriate. Okay,
All right, first of all, thank you very much for showing up, Ginger, thank you. First of all, my house was formerly the lounge for the Tyrol ski area. And at one point, it was, in order to make it a house lot, an independent house lot, it was, had to be cut up with
subdivided.
2 acres of land. So my house is not designed for the lot. The lot was made to make it a, a house. So with that being understood, I don't have an ideal situation where the house was centered to the lot and I could have put a garage in. On the entrance to my house is on the north side and on the south side, but on the west side is a septic system. I have easements, right-of-ways, I have a little brook in the back, and I have a buried swimming pool in my backyard. So the logical place to put it would be on the east side of my house.
Can you, the drawings that we have don't show any septic, they don't show a buried pool, they show the rights of way. Can you on these show us where these things
Oh,
are?
yeah, I did them on my laptop, but sure. I will,
Just, if you can, here's your house, that's the garage, that's what you've seen before.
this is a right-of-way here. There is a stream, well, it's a seasonal stream, but it would be about here. And it joins another seasonal stream there, and then it goes on a culvert under my house, okay? Down the mountain. There's a
So the
septic,
streams are coming this way,
yeah, the grade goes this way,
and then the culvert carries.
right, and I'm
carries
on a
the
ledge.
both of them
I'm on a ledge, so it tends to flood, and this was put in, and I maintain it. Now, the septic is about here, and it was a large leach field, because it was a lounge. The Ginger's water line comes from over here and goes around here and up to her property. And that's buried underground. My water line comes in this way for my well I share over here. Okay. I have electric power coming in here. It goes into, over in this side of the road, there's a telephone pole here.
Yeah.
And then it comes to another telephone pole about here, I would say. So the power line goes this way, and then it shoots to my house. This is also phone and cable that goes to the abutters here, the Tyrol, Jim Projan's house, the chalet here, and the barn that's over here. So this property here, this part of it I couldn't do anything with anyways.
But that's still your property.
It's still my property.
But this is the road,
This is the right of way.
so you own land on both sides of the road.
Well,
Yes.
I think you own the road as well, that's the
Yeah,
easement.
yeah, and I own the road,
Oh, okay.
okay? And so, this might be a little larger than it is, but this is the just general area.
Yeah.
The buried pool would be, I don't know, Ginger, maybe you could help me out more than, this is the house right here.
It's right in front of your deck. Where's your deck?
Okay, right here, deck would be right about
And it
here.
goes up over this way towards where Projan's house is. This
Projan's house is over here.
And then it goes that way towards Projan's house.
Yeah, so it went something like this maybe,
Yep,
and it was a good sized pool.
yep.
So it would be there. And this stream might go this way, you know, I might have this just a little, not exact, but you get the general idea.
That's helpful, yeah, because I had no idea
Yeah,
where the stuff was.
and your water line comes in around up here and under here.
Where's your garden?
My garden's over here, under this
Okay,
wire.
that's where isn't that where the thing is, where your garden is? Isn't that where the well is?
The well's over here on Projan's property, and it goes into his house, and then it comes out at the base lodge,
Yep, and then it goes up and divides again.
goes up here, yeah, it comes up to your yard. I went over that up here, because when I was putting in my line last year, I needed him to tell me where we were gonna cross over, because there was a crisscross here, and we didn't wanna dig up the old water,
Yeah.
so.
And your breezeway, if we want a mudroom,
Yeah.
is 8 by 22 feet.
Well, I was gonna put it the whole length of the house. And, just to square off the house.
Right.
And I have a chimney that sticks out, it will stick out into the mudroom. I think it's 40 inches out. So I had it planned, I'm not sure if it's gonna be 28 and 8 or 26 and 10, but it was gonna be to that point.
Yeah. The thing that occurs to me as I look at the numbers and so forth is that if the mudroom weren't 26 or 28 feet long, then your garage would not be violating the setback. And does that make sense in my understanding?
Well, what there is right here is a chimney, and it sticks out beyond my house now 40 inches. So at the
Yeah.
edge of my house, I got this 6-foot.
Yeah, I see.
Okay, that's the bedroom.
Oh, I see, okay, so it's 28 feet going this way, not...
It's 10 feet going that way.
Right.
Oh,
No, it's,
never mind, never
Yeah,
mind.
that's,
yeah, it's gonna be, this is the 8 feet right here,
Right, I got it,
right to there.
yeah, okay. Okay. Oh, that answers my questions,
Yeah.
thank you.
And so I'm kind of limited where to put it.
Yes.
what leads you to a 41-foot long garage? And that's a little bit on the big side, isn't it?
Well, yes, but I have 2 vehicles.
Yeah.
And I
But
have,
41 with 4 vehicles.
well, I'd like to put a 3-car garage in, but, and then I'd like to have a tool room, so that made 4. I have a lawnmower, a snow blower, push lawnmower, I have a motorcycle,
Okay.
a couple of motorcycles.
You'd have to take the thing all the way back to like here. So it would be a 20-foot garage.
Well, yeah, yeah, but 41 feet is pretty long, that's all I want to make sure I understood it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm sorry we interrupted you, but go on.
No, so the reason is, I need storage also, and, there's very limited storage in my house.
Is it on a slab?
It's on, well, no, there's a crawl space underneath.
Like not going to sell it?
No, it's a concrete walled, but it's,
Yeah, 4 feet or something.
Yeah.
store anything down there. And then I have scissor trusses up there. I have a little bit of storage above my bedroom, but the length part of the east-west running part has scissor trusses, and it's a cathedral ceiling, so there's nothing up there. And, So that is the basic reasoning behind all this. And I didn't want to put it too far in the back of the yard because I didn't want to interrupt with that swimming pool.
Is that not buildable land, the swimming pool?
I don't know if it's buildable or not. But, I don't know what type of mess there would be in there. It's a lawn now. And I also didn't want to move it back there because it would be, visible from Projan's property. When he's sitting out on his deck, I didn't want to take a look at the garage,
Oh, I see.
So there was, my reasoning was to keep it forward in front of the house, so they drive in,
Well, if you if you move the garage back, you'd probably have to move it back about 20 feet. But if you moved it back, assuming that you could build on that land that where this pool was, you wouldn't be here.
Right,
Because your setbacks would be fine.
right.
Okay.
I'd be surprised if you could build on that pool.
I don't know. I mean,
Right.
obviously Bob doesn't know either, so we just
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, I mean, I would, you could probably build on it, the question is how much it costs.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was.
You'd have to dig it all back up again.
I didn't
Yeah,
know.
Bigger.
you fill land.
I
Yeah.
wonder why
Make sure
I
that-
can't build a garage.
Yeah,
Over the
on
pool.
the
Yeah.
property.
Yeah,
Nightmare.
yeah, I
I
think
think
they
they
probably,
probably didn't fill it and compact it and make sure it was
yeah, well,
solid.
and
And you
that
say you're on a ledge, huh?
There's ledge down there.
Yeah.
I don't know how far it's gonna be.
Yeah, right.
okay.
Who filled that? Did David Otis fill that, or?
Around that time, whether he actually did it or somebody else filled it in, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a
'cause I
long
can't
time.
remember,
It's
that's the
40
only time I was
something
ever up there, and I was down in that crawl space. I'm a plumber, so,
Oh,
yeah, but, yeah, I can't remember if the pool was there or not. But if David did it, I'd be very leery about putting anything back there.
years. Well, it was done right around the time.
Which one you spoke of?
did you get that on tape?
Yeah. No, he's in St. Petersburg, so.
Russia or Florida?
You probably won't see this.
Anything else?
those are the reasons for the location where it's at. And, you know,
Well, how about, one issue is, unfortunately, I guess, your abutter to the northeast is not here. That's, who is that? That's
Progen.
Pogen.
Progen.
Jim
Progen.
He's the one to the east, and he also owns the property to the northeast, which really doesn't touch, I mean, the four corners, I don't know,
But
but yeah.
he's, if I like a setback, you're gonna be closer to his house.
At that point, the direction of the boundary is kind of away from his house, almost like at a 45-degree angle, if you would, you know?
Why don't you draw his house on here
Okay,
as best you can?
yeah, sure. Now,
But
his house is, his deck comes 11 feet from the boundary here, and his house is about 25. But it gets to a point where his house comes down and it's 9 feet from there, and then it goes out like this. And it comes down something like this. Comes in here and then goes back down, and, you know, something like that, but his house is over here.
And that's his deck that you were talking about.
Yeah, that's his deck, and his house has a little L here, and then it comes out here quite a ways. It comes out, you know, it's a large house.
Yeah.
I think it's something like that. So you can see how it you know, it spreads out.
Where you're closest to the property line, he's furthest away.
Yes, yes,
that's helpful.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And what does he think of this?
Well, I asked him, you know, before I even presented it to my, for my building permit, and he was for it. You know, and, you know, he was in agreement.
Another scenario, if you're unsuccessful here, is to do a boundary adjustment, where some of, you know, you move your property boundary 6 feet or so over in that area, and you give him 6 feet someplace else.
I'd love to do that because,
No, I mean, it's,
because behind his house, this land here I never use,
no, well, like I said,
you know.
it is,
But,
it would be another solution.
yes,
But, and probably far less expensive than building over the swimming pool.
Yeah.
think we could assume reasonably that if Jim Projan didn't want this built, he would be here,
Yeah.
because he certainly,
I don't know the fellow that well.
oh, I know him fairly well.
I know him pretty well, he'd be here,
He'd be here.
he'd be here.
Okay.
So I think if Bob says that he told him about it, and he said, that's great,
He
and he's
told,
not here, then I'm sure he thinks it's fine.
yeah, and he knows about the meeting tonight, I believe, and he's in the process of selling the land. So, you know, it's been in the paper and everything about selling that,
Oh, that's right, yeah,
Yeah.
right, you're right,
so. So that's part of the reason why I'm building a garage, is he was letting me use his barn.
Well, the toys have to come out.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have anything else at this point?
Is there anything else that you want?
No, it's, I have talked to Kevin about this. This was, oh God, a month or so ago when this first came about. Kevin thought basically with what he's trying to do, even though he had to deny it because of the code then, he didn't see any problem with it.
And again, if you want to see the layout, I still have some stakes in the ground. I had to pull some up because of plow issues, but I can put them back in. I know where the measurements are.
I think we're okay.
Yeah, we're-
I think we have a pretty good idea. And it's helpful for you that you drew Projan's house there. It made it easier to appreciate what's going on with your property boundary.
Yeah, at one point, his house is 9 feet or 10 feet from my property.
I see that, yeah.
Yeah.
That must be before.
Yeah,
Yeah, before setbacks.
Jim's house, the corner where he's got that little bar on the back,
Yeah,
the old ticket window.
the ticket window.
Yeah.
Would you care to say anything?
No, we don't have, Peter and I do not have any objections to doing this.
Okay. Great. So the next step is for us to discuss the criteria and whether or not we think he meets the criteria. So I'll start by reading the first one, unless we want to talk further. Okay, the first one is the variance will not be contrary to public interest, which one can, does the variance alter the essential character of the neighborhood or threaten the health, safety, or general welfare of the public? And to discuss this, we really have to understand what the purpose of the setback requirements are. I don't definitively know. I would suggest that there's some combination of, trying not to have too dense a neighborhood, fire safety, making sure that buildings are not too close together, and preserving views, and privacy.
How far is Jim's house from the corner where that garage would be?
Why don't you, the setback, the closest, the place where he's,
It looks like Jim's house is furthest away
Yeah,
from
yes,
the corner of the garage, which is within the setback.
I mean, arguably, it's almost like the garage is going to be almost nearly parallel to his wall, to his house.
Yeah.
Well, his house, yeah, I see what you mean.
It may even slightly converge
Yeah,
as you go towards the driveway.
yeah, it does look that, the way you drew it does.
Yeah.
So we have to decide whether or not, what the purpose of the setback is, and whether or not, by agreeing to this, we are, threatening the health, safety, general welfare, or essential character of the neighborhood.
Well, I I think as far as the first criteria is concerned, I mean, we're really talking about two at the same time, aren't we? We're talking about what the
Principally,
ordinance is supposed to achieve, right?
yeah, I mean, this is the public interest, so it's not, this is not, we're not to the spirit yet, but, because there is a subtle difference, but does the variance alter the essential character of the neighborhood or threaten the health, safety, or general welfare of the public?
No.
I think not.
No.
I would tend to agree with that as well.
Mm.
So, all in favor of finding that granting this variance would not be contrary to public interest, raise their hands. 4-0. The next one is the spirit of the ordinance observed? Again, this gets to the, the purpose of the setback ordinance, which I already mentioned. What's a little bit different with this is we can also look at, if we did this everywhere, what the cumulative impact might be on the neighborhood. If we granted this kind of variance, but I guess I'd argue it's a little bit unique given the existing building and the existing building intruding on the setback. I mean, his neighbor's existing property building intruding on a setback where this garage is going to be far away, 35 feet away from his property boundary, and the reverse up above at the front of the garage. So I think I'd argue this is a narrow enough case that we'd not see this elsewhere if people were asking for variances for this nature elsewhere. I mean, I think that's what makes this unique. Not because when the property was subdivided they didn't have setbacks, but because with the way the buildings are built, it's not likely that it's not likely that this is going to intrude on the privacy of his neighbor. Not going to the buildings will still be far enough away that there's not a big fire safety concern. So and the view is not really diminished.
And what's between you and Jim Progen's house? Is there anything on that line? You've got woods there or is it?
Grass.
Here's,
Yeah,
here's
there's lawn.
In garden,
Here's
Julie's
the
gardens.
approach, here's his
Flowers.
house.
Yeah.
Julie's
all-
flowers.
Judy's
Good.
flowers.
There's a driveway kind of right in front of where the garage would be.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah, I can pass that along.
And a huge garage right there in front of it.
So this is,
This is Bob's house.
yeah,
This is Progen. This is the easement for Bailey, I think. This is the Tyrell garage,
yeah.
and
And this is the closest spot he is now.
yes, because look at the,
Yeah, the closest spot he is to the land. But as you get back here, he goes off that
Yeah.
way. So even though he's 19 feet, Progen's gotta be 35 or 40 feet or
Yeah.
50 feet.
yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay.
So,
Do you want to share that with them, or?
Hey,
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I pretty much, because I'm vaguely familiar with a lot up there. Yeah, this is Jim's house here.
I think you have to look at it in conjunction with this drawing to kind of get an idea.
yeah, with what he's filling in,
Yeah, because his lot goes right here.
yeah.
Seems like it'd be beneficial for Jim Cronin eventually to work, or whoever buys that house, to work a swap with you later anyway, even if this is accepted for his benefit.
I would think so. Okay, so I'll call the question, we're voting on whether or not by granting this variance, the spirit of the ordinance is still observed. All in favor of finding that? That's also unanimous. The third question is substantial justice is done. This means where any loss to the individual, in this case Bob, if we fail to grant this variance, is not outweighed by a gain to the general public. So, in another way to say this, if we deny him the variance, he will have a loss of not being able to build the garage he wants to build. But what does the general public or the neighborhood gain from that? And I don't see there's much that they gain given the configuration of the houses.
Yeah.
So I would suggest that this also is this case where by granting the variance, substantial justice is done.
Yeah.
So all in favor of finding that substantial justice is done by granting this variance? Great. The next criteria is whether or not the value of the surrounding properties are diminished. We have one neighbor, the neighbor to the south, present, who supports this.
East, south?
Yes,
Yes, it's
mostly
east, yeah.
south to south.
Yes.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
Yes,
whatever.
We see
No
some
one-
objection.
South is,
And we at least infer from the absence of any communication from Progen that he doesn't think this is detrimental to his property. It sounds like he's the kind of guy who would let us know if he felt that.
he would definitely let you know.
Mhm.
So I'd ask for a vote here that we find that by granting this variance, the value of the surrounding properties are not diminished.
No.
All in favor? Great. Now the last one is the hardship one, and basically we're saying literally enforcing this variance, literally enforcing the zoning ordinance here, would result in an unnecessary hardship. And in particular, we have to find that there's no fair or substantive relationship that exists between the general public purpose of setback requirement and the specific application of that provision to this property. And you know, it's unique. It's something that's unique to this property. So
You've
I think
got,
the unique thing is the configuration of the buildings.
well,
Well,
the
the
other
s-
unique
the
thing
swimming
is that
pool.
you've got a buried swimming pool.
Yes.
You've also got two seasonal brooks that run underneath the house eventually. Seems to me there's lots of things that.
Yes. Okay.
Are,
And that
The
we
water
also
lines too, I believe, because
Water
then they
lines.
fail the house.
Yeah.
and we also have to find that this is a reasonable use,
Yeah.
which nobody's really suggested it's not, I don't think. So I'm going to suggest that we vote on this criteria by finding that by granting this variance, the literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would not result in an unnecessary hardship. And in particular, we're citing the unique configuration of the buildings on their parcels and the presence of the features such as the swimming pool and the seasonal brook. All in favor of that, raise your hand.
Did you say what you said again, just what we're voting on, because I think you said it wrong, because it's.
Okay, we're voting on finding that there is no fair and substantial relationship. I'm sorry, we're voting that
Literally.
there is a fair and substantial relationship between the general, let me try it again.
Literally enforcing the
of
ordinance.
provisions of the ordinance would result in unnecessary hardship.
Yes,
Yes.
that's what we're voting on.
Yes, it would.
We're voting, in granting the variance, there would not be, it would not result in an unnecessary hardship. How's that?
Well, Maybe we could just say that that we find that the literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship.
That's fine.
Which is expenditure.
All in favor of Dave's motion?
Yeah.
Okay. Then finally, to grant the variance. All in favor of granting the variance, raise your hand. Okay, the variance is granted. We will prepare a written summary of this decision and post it. And I'll warn you that you have the variance, but for the next 30 days, anybody wants to be posted the decision, anybody can appeal the variance,
And a butter or the
or the town selectmen.
selectman could appeal it.
So you're not home free yet, but you're like in the last 20 yards.
Okay.
I would love to see though in the future, because I can see the house next door, Jim Progens, could be a problem in the future if they come and want something. Or it would be nice if they could, I know it has nothing to do with this now, but they could work something out so that, you know, Jim Progens can get more back here and they could.
Yeah, boundary adjustments, but
Yeah,
the obvious solution in the long run here. Or you just,
Well, where that,
that's not us to call.
no, I know, I
where
just,
that house is, if they gave them more here, then they would have less
Well, no, they have to,
clearance if they wanted to
yeah,
do
but I
something
think that's,
outside
they
the
have
house.
plenty now, though,
They
they
could-
don't have any back
he could
here.
give, he
Yeah.
could give some of this land back here to them.
Yeah. Well.
I put Jim a long time ago when I first bought the house, and I said, you know, can we do a land swap? And he said, no, don't worry about it, you know? So, because my property was going right behind his deck, and, you know, I don't even mow over there because it's, you know, it's kind of like his backyard, he does what he wants with it. I mow his lawn, but he likes to keep that with wildflowers, and I said, okay, you know, you know, but.
I think it would work to his advantage if he did something.
It would, especially if we walk off the deck, because I get 38 feet from that corner behind his house. It's my yard, you know, I mean, I could put up a nice fence.
So,
It's so cool.
No, I wouldn't do it, but I mean,
having no other business on our agenda tonight, I wish you all a good Merry holiday, good Merry Christmas, and a New Year.
No more hearings until March, because I won't be walking.
And motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
We are adjourned.